Hi, this is Pat Duckworth, the hot woman with cool solutions and the author of the #1 international best-selling Hot Women Rock: How to Discover Your Midlife Entrepreneurial Mojo. And I've been talking to the other co-authors of the book, but while I was writing the book, I just got to know so many women who'd had really interesting entrepreneurial journeys. And it's been great to connect with them and to share their stories too. So this is one of the women that I've connected with. So my guest today, she speaks and consults on career and lifestyle redesign. She's got a talent for helping professionals see the sweet spot between their talents and their passions so they can uncover new possibilities for their career and their lifestyle. Her true passion is blurring the lines between work and play, or well, perhaps it's work and pay, work, play, and empowering others to do the same. Her book, Finding Fabulous, Paving the Path Between Paycheck and Passion. You see, I was right, it was pay. Dares us to consider what our fabulous life looks like and provides practical, relevant tools for anyone tired of feeling stuck and ready to take action. So it's a huge Hot Women Rock welcome to Lisa Dad. Hello, Lisa. How are you?
I'm great, Pat. Thank you for having me.
Oh, these conversations are such fun. I just have to keep finding more and more women to talk to, and there are so many of them with really great stories. So your story didn't start out as an entrepreneurial story. What did you start out doing?
Yeah, directly out of grad school, I went straight into big corporate. I worked for a large pharmaceutical company for 15 years in sales and marketing and operational effectiveness and people management. And I did a whole gamut of things in the corporate world before I sort of made my big leap of faith to go do something else.
And was there a trigger? Because with most women, I find there's something, either it's a dissatisfaction with what they're doing, and sometimes it's stuff that's just happening in their life that makes them think, "Do you know what, I'm going to go and do something different."
Yeah, I like to describe it as my split-second decision that was years in the making, because it really felt like that. I think, initially I actually started out wanting to be a physician. And so when I didn't get into medical school, I sort of got led down this path of staying in healthcare, but in a business perspective. And so I guess there was always a piece of me that knew I wasn't doing exactly what I really wanted to do. But there was so much growth and opportunity in that company. And initially I really loved, the challenge, and it was new, and I worked with amazing people. But there was this piece of me that each and every step of the way, even though I was progressing in my career and getting promotions, the satisfaction and the happiness factor kept getting, as I was climbing the ladder, it was like going down. And so that's why I say it was sort of years in the making. And then it literally was a moment I was standing in my kitchen, sort of contemplating my future. I had this opportunity to do that because my corporation was going through this major downsizing. And I had this revelation that while everyone around me was afraid of losing their job, I was actually more afraid of keeping mine.
Yeah, I get that. When I took early retirement, the guy I was working for in a big government department, I said to him, "Do you know what? I'm going for early retirement." And he looked at me for a split second and said, "Do you know, I think I will too." And
Oh, wow.
yeah, and he said to me afterwards, because we had to wait a while to find out whether we were going to be allowed to be let go. And he
Mhm.
said to me, "Do you know, I wasn't sure I'd done the right thing until I thought, how will I feel if I don't get it?" And he said, "I knew I would just be gutted if I didn't get early retirement." So it's that thing when you're ready to move on. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, it's fine. I love it because I think that's the thing is a lot of people say, how do you know when the right time is the right time? And I had been saying for years that when I figure out what I want to do with my life, I'll go do it. And it came to a point when I realized I've been saying that for so long and I'm actually not figuring it out, because corporate life is so busy. I got hundreds of emails a day and meetings left, right, and center that at the end of the day, I wasn't taking the time to say, what lights me up, what energizes me, what do I really want to be doing in my heart of all hearts. I was just too tired and too busy. And so for me, that I didn't really allow myself the full energy and space to do that until I made that decision to leave.
Yeah, and how did you decide what it was you were going to do? What was your first step?
Well, it's still an ongoing, it's an ongoing thing, I think. And I don't know if any entrepreneur would say differently than that. But for me, that was the scarier part, is that, instantaneously when I decided to leave corporate world, I was feeling really free and really petrified because I didn't know what to do. And so really my first step was going on this giant, discovery journey. And, it sounds maybe a little trite to say, oh, I went soul searching. But I did. I allowed myself to, I hired a coach immediately. I started attending different conferences that were sort of interesting to me. And I just sort of followed some of my interests and my passion. And, the impetus for the book actually came from that curiosity, because I met all these amazing women at a networking event who had walked away from these corporate, professional, successful careers to find more meaning and purpose in their own lives. And I was like, okay, great. How do I do that? What's the one little thing I can do? And so interviewing them and just reaching out to them and being like innately curious about that led to me writing the book, and eventually sort of set me down on this path that I'm on now.
Yeah, and curiosity is such a resourceful mind state. You're not the first woman to say to me that, having decided to move on, they spent a lot of time in their personal development and really thinking about what it was that they wanted to do next. And that seems to be a really important thing, to give yourself that time. If there's not something specific, then tune into what it is that you most want to do.
Yeah, I love that. And, the coach that I'm actually working with currently, she is a big on saying that your business grows as quickly as you grow. Yeah. And, I think there is a huge truth to that, is that, we learn more and more about ourselves as you go down this journey. And it's important to ask those questions and to keep tapping in, because I think otherwise we run a risk of just falling back to what we know. And all of a sudden, before you know it, you've created a business that you already had the same job, and you're just as unhappy if you haven't been tapping in along the way to say, I may have always done things this way, but my heart is leading me that way. So it's sort of a new path, you're forging new paths, but I think it's a better way to find success anyway along the way.
Yeah, and I think as an entrepreneur, it is about change, development, and this constant evolution. I think unless you're evolving, you're not really an entrepreneur.
That's exactly why when you asked me the question, how did you figure out what you wanted to do? I thought, I don't know if I have, I love what I'm doing right now. And, it's that evolution of, like you said, who you want to be as you're going along, and sort of like these layers. It's like this flower, or this peeling back the layers of the onion and finding new things as you go down.
Yeah. And how are you using your book on this journey? Because again, I think, if you've never written a book, there's this feeling that the book is an end in itself. And for me, it's always been a beginning.
Yeah. That is a bit of a surprising thing, I have to say, as a first-time author, that it kind of can feel like it's an end, because when you're in the heart of writing it, it feels like you're doing so much work and putting so much of your heart and your energy into it that you think, and you've got deadlines usually, right? You're working with your editor and you're like, okay, by this time, then it'll be done. And you're right. I think it is a beginning, and it's definitely the first foray to putting yourself out there, I think. So anybody that's got a book inside of them, they know that there's this piece of them that's like, okay, if I write a book, it's pretty vulnerable. It's like, here I am. This is what I think. This is what I'm going through. At least, the kind of books that we wrote, it's like, here I am. And so it is the beginning. It's a beginning for people being able to see you.
Yeah, absolutely. And the news is, it's not going to stop at one book. There will be another book and another book.
That's helpful to say. Someone once said that to me when I was in the middle of writing the book. They said, they were listening to my first book, but they're like, oh, your third book's going to be amazing. And I was like, oh, wait a second, let me get this one out of the way. But I have like all these book ideas in my head that are sort of like various stages of ready to be birthed.
Absolutely. So this is Pat Duckworth, the author of Hot Women Rock, talking to Lisa Dadd. And I'm really interested in the resources and capabilities that you developed in your corporate life and how these have translated into your entrepreneurship. What did you bring with you that's been really useful to you?
Yeah, this is a great topic because I think this is one of the things that I've struggled with a lot. And I hear other people struggling, people that I interviewed in the book were struggling as well, is that we have all these skill sets from our corporate days. And I think, at least for me, what happened is I took them for granted. So, 15 years, you do a lot of training and you have a lot of experience building, strategizing, and just even dealing with resources and managing budgets and doing all these things that are such a huge part, but in some ways not the focus of your job in corporate. And so when you leave and you're in the entrepreneurial space and you don't have that infrastructure around you, like I used to have to do profit and loss, documents and stuff for my job, but I still had a finance partner who at the end of the day did the majority of putting everything into spreadsheets and handling the government, the taxes and all these things. And so there was a lot of skills. There are a lot of skill sets that I bring to my entrepreneurial career. And yet I'm also really well aware of the fact that it's in a completely new space. So maybe, I guess I didn't answer your question, but I guess the biggest one is just knowing that I do have a skill set, knowing that I've got all these things that I can do and I can put in place. It does give me some of that confidence to say, I can figure this out. It's like Marie Forleo always says, everything is figure outable. And I figure, there's some truth to that.
It's a scary moment when you set up on your own and suddenly there's nobody to pass work off to. I was a manager for so long and I was used to saying, oh, okay, we need a project plan. You do the project plan. You sort out my telephone. You do my IT. And then suddenly, it's only you.
Yeah, when your computer crashes, you call IT department. So when you're alone, it's like, okay, the computer's on the brink. I guess I walk down to the Apple store and see if I can convince someone to help me. So the skill set definitely that I think the entrepreneurs develop, or I've had to develop, is really learning how to build a team around me that isn't necessarily working for me on my payroll. Meeting amazing women like yourself at the Evolutionary Business Council and having a tribe around you that gets what we're up to and may, just even understand if you say, look, I'm struggling with this, and it may not be their expertise, but they'll say, oh, I was struggling with that too. Who you got to speak to is this person. And so this connection of this network, I call it a tapestry of support in my book, because I really learned that support comes on so many different levels and we need it in various different aspects of this whole journey.
Yeah, developing a supportive environment around you is just such an important part of all this, because you're not meant to do it alone. You might not have staff, but you have people who support you or who have ideas or have walked the path and can tell you how to take the shortcuts.
Yeah. And some days you just need someone to tell you it's okay. And that one of the best phrases that my friends tell me is, you're exactly where you're meant to be.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard to believe that, but it's nice to hear it and try to drop into that and try to just feel like, okay, I am exactly where I'm meant to be today. And then all of a sudden, as soon as I allow myself to sort of be there with that support, miraculously the next day, whatever it is that I was kind of struggling with sort of resolves itself often. So, it's important to have that really strong network around you.
Yeah. I'm going to put you on the spot now and ask you a question, and hopefully the answer's going to bubble up.
Okay, I'm here.
What would you say your superpower is? What's the thing that you are really good at, and perhaps you hadn't realized it when you were working in corporate, but now you go, do you know what my superpower is?
I think my superpower is I have a really creative, intuitive sense.
Excellent.
Yeah. I'm just learning to embrace it now. I'm working with a fabulous group of women in this program I've designed called the Fab Track. And it requires me to embrace that superpower. Anytime I get in my head about it and I start to doubt whether I can offer, the service that I want to offer, I get tied up. And anytime I'm just like, okay, relax, you got this. This is what you do, and that's when that creative intuition sort of like flows out of me. So I'm not saying it's always easy for the superpower to come out. But I'm glad you asked that question. It's great for everyone to ask, what is your superpower? And then just own it.
Yeah, and I think it's yours is creative. I think you should have a superpower costume you can put on. I think you've got to go there.
You know what? I love that you said that, because one of the women that's in my program, we talked about superpowers, and I asked her to design a crest for herself. Because I was like, let's get, don't just say what this is. Like, I told her to go steal crayons from her kids and like do some coloring and create a beautiful crest or costume. I gave her the choice for what that superpower is. So, that's where my creative mind goes. It's not okay just to think something. Let's like embody it in whatever way we can. So
next time I see you, I want to see you there in your super.
It's funny because I love it's interesting because one of the last years I was in corporate, we had a Halloween party, and my partner, my business partner at the time, and I actually went and made costumes, and we did the Wonder Twins. I don't know if you remember the Super Friends. I don't know if that's aging myself, but the Super Friends are these Wonder Twins, and they used to always call us like the Wonder Twins because we always did a lot of work together. And I was like, we are making costumes, and we did the whole deal. So I love it, Pat. I love it. I'm like, where's my grandma's sewing machine? I need to like
get some Lycra and stuff.
It's back in Canada, so maybe I won't be too quick, but I'll think about it for sure.
Before Christmas, I went to a networking meeting, and the woman who runs the network, she likes to have a bit of fun. So she suggested that we had a fancy dress networking meeting, and we could come as any Christmas film. And I thought, oh, really? And then I thought, 101 Dalmatians. I went as Cruella de Vil.
Yes.
So I had the black and white wig and the cigarette holder and the long gloves. And I met a whole bunch of women that I'd never met before. And I was sitting next to a woman talking about writing a book, and she's writing a book. And I was saying, oh, well, have another chat with me because there's stuff I could help you with. And so we met recently, and because she didn't know what I really looked like.
She's like looking for Cruella.
So, it's a slightly crazy meetup, but, you have to do this stuff.
I love it's memorable though, right? Like she's always going to remember you as Cruella, and it will just spark something in her. So, I love it.
It's fun. This has been huge fun. Tell us again the name of your book.
It's called Finding Fabulous, Paving the Path Between Paycheck and Passion. And the quickest way to find it is on Amazon. And if you don't remember that big title, if you can remember my name, Lisa Dadd, it's DADD, Dad as in father, then that's the quickest way on Amazon to do a search. But
excellent. Yeah. And if some of our viewers want to contact you, what's a good website or email address?
Yep, just my site is lisadadd.com. So www.lisadadd, again, it's DADD.com. And that's the easiest way. There's a contact form on there to get a hold of me. It comes straight to me. My website's being redesigned right now, but it's definitely the best spot still to contact me.
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining me for this conversation. I'm sure the viewers have got a lot from just hearing about that whole movement from corporate into entrepreneurship and some of the challenges that there are in it. Thank you so much for sharing.
Well, thanks, Pat. Thanks for having me.
Good. And next time I see you, I'm expecting to see that super outfit.
I got to go make a cape now today.
So to our viewers, thank you for watching, and watch out for the next one of these amazing interviews and the next amazing woman that I speak to, the next superwoman.